Like, I'm not here for the complexity at the moment. I'm too tired every day, particularly as I only really craft in the evenings. By the time I sit down, I'm too tired to be thinking about things that are too complex. So, yeah, I think for that reason, that may be why I don't release this design. Hello, and welcome to my little slice of YouTube. I'm Cat, the maker behind Cat Crafty Knits. I'm a mum and wife in my mid-30s, living in the heart of the Devon countryside with my husband, 2 kids, dog and chickens. Here you will find me mostly knitting and drinking coffee, sometimes crocheting, occasionally sewing and spinning, and hopefully sometime soon weaving too. I'm not always so great at documenting my crafty journey through writing, but I'm pretty good at chatting, so here I will share my makes, creative thoughts, my dabbles with knitwear design and my generally pretty haphazard approach to crafting, with dashes of my everyday life thrown in for good measure of course too. You can also find me on Instagram as Cat Crafty Knits. My website is catcraftyknits.com and I am also on Ravelry with the same name. Thank you for being here, I appreciate you spending some time with me and I hope you enjoy this video. Right, hi and welcome. It's been a while again. That was completely by accident. Well, I say by accident, it was by accident in the sense that I've wanted to podcast for a while, but it's the summer holidays here in the UK, so the kids are home from school, which means finding time to sit down and do this without being interrupted every 2 minutes for snacks or I'm bored. Yeah, that's been challenging, but here we are. It's now the 20th of August, 25. Honestly, I don't know where life is going these days. Like, time goes so quickly. But yeah, I am here to chat to you about more than I thought I was going to. I sat down and wrote my notes this morning and was like, oh, actually I've got a bit to chat about here. So no idea whether this will be a short episode or a long episode, but here we go. I hope you don't mind anyway. We're here to chat nonetheless. So today I have 3 finished objects to chat about. Spoiler, I'm wearing one of them. I have a pattern release to chat about, a pattern that actually came out a few months ago, but again, this is the first time I've sat down since that release to chat about it, so I will do that. And then I have 3, well, technically 4 whips, but 3 that I've actually kind of worked on, so yeah, we'll chat about that in a bit as well. So yeah, I hope you've got yourself a drink. I've got a cup of tea, which I probably won't drink because I usually don't when I'm chatting. I'd gulp it down at the end and it would be cold, but never mind. So yeah, let's snuggle in and get on with this, shall we? So first of all, I will chat about what I am wearing. I am wearing my Vesuvius Tee by Nomad Stitches. This was my first ever crochet garment project and I'm really pleased with how this has come up. If you've seen my podcasts in the past, you'll notice in the last few that I've chatted more and more about crochet, and in previous times I wouldn't have particularly called myself a crocheter. I was someone who was very much a die-hard knitter, but could do a granny stripe or granny square, sorry. And I've had a granny stripe blanket on the go for a few years now, but it's been very much not really loved until this last couple of months. But yeah, I kind of picked that up a few months ago and was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this granny striping stuff. I might try a few more bits with crochet. So then I did this, that and the other, and yeah, I then cast on this and I have finished my first crochet garment. You're probably not really going to be able to see it on the screen, but I'll see what I can show you. So that is the split hem at the bottom. It's got this really lovely detail all across, patterning, which is all over the garment. It's got this really lovely scoop neck, and if I can show the shoulder, it's got this really nice kind of drop shoulder here. Yeah, I am really pleased with this. Is it cast on? Hooked on? I started this, I cast on a size or 2 smaller than I would probably normally choose for myself, but because the pattern pictures were quite oversized, and I was like, I don't want it to be skin tight, but I would rather it be a little bit more fitted than that. For what I had in mind, I thought it would suit me better. And in the last few months, I've lost a little bit of weight. I've got more to lose, but I lost a little bit of weight. And yeah, I think if I hadn't have done that, this would probably be too small. But actually, it's a really nice fit for me now. So yeah, that's nice. I made a few modifications with this. First of all, I think because I chose a smaller size than I normally would, once I got to this point here, when I'd done the full armhole depth to what the pattern had said, that was too tight for what I wanted. I didn't want it to be as a tighter sleeve than that. And I think that probably ended up tighter because I downsized. I wanted more space in my armhole here. So I added to the yoke 4 extra rows, I think it was, on the front and the back to create just that extra space. I then didn't look at the pattern whatsoever for the body length. I just continued working until it was at the point where I wanted to put in the split. So I couldn't tell you how close to pattern that is or not, but that's what I went for. So just kind of on my high-waisted trousers, just below where the waistband is. And then the split goes either side, and the back split is, as you can see there, I think it's obvious, or I think it's clear. It's deeper on the back than it is the front, and that is per pattern. That's how the pattern says to do it. And then the only other thing that I did differently, or 2 things actually. First of all was I didn't want the extra rows on the sleeves, so actually the sleeves are shorter and more capped than the original pattern. The designer has a few extra rows on there and then the finish, but I actually quite like it just how it is. I think that's quite summery and sweet, so I did that. And then the last thing I did differently was a knitted I-cord edge for my sleeve edges, the bottom of the the bottom edge, let's go for edge, and the neckline, and I think that looks really nice. I'm really pleased with that. I posted a short and a reel on Instagram as to how I did that, so I'll just link that so you can see how I did that. But it was a 2-stitch I-cord, but I twisted the stitches slightly differently just to make it sit really neat, and that's how it came out. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. This was in yarn that was from stash, gosh, from quite a long time ago. I can't remember when I got this. But it's a merino silk yarn from the Wool Shed, and it's in the colourway Dahlia. And I've had this kind of stashed as sort of a special yarn, which I'm not really sure what to use on for quite a while. So it was sort of daunting using it for a crochet project when I'd never crocheted a garment before, because that felt a bit risky, using this really lovely yarn on something that I might completely mess up. But actually, just go for it. Why keep these yarns forever and ever and not use them because they're so special? Because actually now I've got a really special garment, and I'm really pleased that I just went for it. So yeah, that is what I am wearing and my first finished object. I feel like I am zim zam zooming through this. So yeah, chill cat, it's all good. So my second finished object is a jumper that is self-drafted. It's one that I've graded and I've started writing the pattern up for. I think I chatted about it last time, but I don't know if I'm going to release it or not, mainly because I don't know if I'm there for the complexity at the moment. Like, I think the reason that crochet is working for me, and particularly the type of crochet that I'm doing, is that it's just simple stitches, repeated, like repetitive, straightforward things where I'm not having to use my brain too much. Like even the knitting projects that I've got to show you in a bit, they're all stockinette based for most part anyway, and that more simple crafting is where I'm at the moment. Like, I'm not here for the complexity at the moment. I'm too tired every day, particularly as I only really craft in the evenings. By the time I sit down, I'm too tired to be thinking about things that are too complex. So yeah, I think for that reason, that may be why I don't release this design, or at least do it anytime soon, because okay, I've done a lot of the grading, but the pattern writing is complex. Putting it through tech editing and dealing with things that crops up is complex. Then the complexity of running a test knit, it's just a lot to do and a lot to think about, and my brain's just not functioning. I'm not highly functioning. I'm not hyper focused on those things at the moment. I'm just quite chilled, focused on other things, I guess. But yeah, anyway, let's show you the actual jumper, shall I? So this is it. Can I even fit it on the screen? There we go. So with this, it is a contiguous shoulder set-in sleeve, and it's just quite boxy. It's got this deep V that comes down and the high neck collar, and yeah, it's just super simple but super snuggly, super lovely. And yeah, I think last time I showed this, I think I just pulled out the sleeve that I had done, or was it on there and I'd planned to frog it and I hadn't done it yet? I can't remember, but anyway, the sleeve I'd knit the first time, and just the way I'd tapered it, it tapered too quickly. It was too tight kind of on this part of your arm. So I've now redone those, and I've got both of them on there now, and yeah, I'm really pleased with them now. They're tapered, but they're suitably oversized and boxy like the rest of the jumper is, really. So yeah, really pleased with this. I do have buttons for the front collar, so it could be done up or not, like that. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure whether I should put those on or not, because actually I quite like it open, and I'm half considering, well, I've got an end poking out there, so I'd have to tuck that in first. I'm half considering blocking it again with the collar folded, because I think that might look quite cool as well. Shall I try it on and show you? 2 seconds. It's going to be a bit warm for this, because although the weather's here a bit rubbish in England, it's not super cold either. So yeah. Ugh. That's the collar there. One of my lights is flickering, so I'm really sorry if you can see that. But it is a dull day here, so I did get the lights out. But yeah, so that's the collar there. And that's the sleeve. So enough space to show you properly. And that's kind of the body. Maybe I'll do some B-roll so you can actually see it properly. And yeah, I think it would look quite nice with the collar folded more like that, and maybe the buttons not put on, it just be deliberately open. Oh, now I see that on, I think that's possibly where I'll go with this, because that's really nice otherwise, isn't it? Yeah, so this sweater is named, but I think like last time I might still keep it to myself, just because I'm not decided on what I'm doing with this pattern. But yeah, I might save it and put it in the bag for another time in terms of release. The other thing I might do is actually do it as an OPAF only pattern, which I'll chat a little bit more about OPAF with one of my whips I want to show you. So if you don't know what OPAF is, that will become clear soon. But maybe I'll release it for free as a free OPAF pattern. That might be an idea, if I can find the energy to do the work. Oh, I am knitting work, craft work shy at the moment. I'm definitely here for the easy stuff right now. Oh, right, I can't stay in this, it's too warm to stay in. Let's put the other one back on. Yeah, my final whip, let's move on. Or, not whip. My final finished object. I hope I haven't been saying whip the whole way through. That would be really stupid. I'm not redoing this. This is going to be a one-shot wonder because I have other things to do today. My kids are out with Nanny and Grandad today, and they're also sleeping over. Although my son's a little bit poorly, so what's the bet? And he ends up back tonight rather than staying. But we'll see. Either way, I'm kid-free for now, and I have lots of things I'd like to do with that time because I have not been kid-free for weeks. These are another pair of tube socks. If you've been here a while, you will know that I've knit a few of these now. This was the first pair that I've done for me, and they are out of yarns from Stripey Cat Yarn. This was her Harry Potter book 2 colourway, and I have all 7 to do. So that is those. This is the first time I've done a tube sock for me. The other ones I've done have been for my husband. And I think and this might be true for his as well, I haven't got that far yet to tell you. The last tube sock I did for him had a ribbed front and then a plain back. And he always likes the rib socks because it keeps him nice and snug on the foot but still is nice and stretchy. Whereas this pair is obviously all plain stockinette. And I think I either should have dropped a few stitches. This is a 64 stitch on a 2.25mm needle, and that's what I would normally do for me. But I also don't normally do just completely stockinette socks. I usually do at least like a panel that's got some more detailing in, like a cable or some ribbing or something. And yeah, they just feel slightly on the roomy side. So I don't know whether maybe I should have dropped to like 60 stitches or dropped another needle size, but actually knitting on a 2mm would maybe be a bit laborious. But yeah, so they are slightly larger than I would usually do for myself. I also don't know if I put the heel slightly too high. I feel like I could have put the heel maybe one stripe lower than I did. So yes, they're quite roomy, but I do like that they've got a nice long leg. That's really cool. And I think they would look really smart, like poking out of my winter boots when winter comes. So yeah, I'm still overall happy with them and I still will wear them. But I've also learned that there are maybe a couple of things I might change for the next time I do myself another pair of tube socks. Yeah, so that's those, and that is therefore the end of my whips. Whips! I have been saying that the whole time, haven't I? That is the end of my finished objects. Shall we now move on to whips? So, staying on the sock tube trend, these are the ones that I'm doing for my husband. Again, in another Stripey Cat Yarns yarn. So that's those, and I think I showed these last time too. I started these on a ferry on the way back from France earlier this year, after finishing the tube for this one, but before I'd put the heels and the cuffs on. So I kind of had two tubes going at once, but those have since finished, as you can see, and this is now my most recent one for my husband. This is the Colourway Time Turner, and as you can see with this one, it looks enormous. So usually I knit 72 stitches on a 2.5mm needle for my husband. And again, I think where they're all stockinette, they just look enormous. So I hope they fit him as well. Having a bit of a confidence crisis on socks, even though I've knit, both of us, millions of pairs of socks. So many pairs of socks. It should be something that I've got down, but yeah, maybe it's this sock tube process that's making me doubt them. Although his other ones were fine, but like I say, I did the more ribbed element to them. But yeah, they do look enormous, but hopefully they fit. And knowing him, he'll probably wear them anyway, so it probably doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's those. I'm whittling through this, aren't I? So maybe it won't be quite so long as I thought this episode. Let's move on to another whip. What shall I show you next? Let's show you this one, just because you can see some yarn hiding here, and that goes with this. So I have made some progress on my crochet Radiating Squares, and as you can see, I haven't done any sewing in of ends yet. But yeah, how many squares do I have on there now? I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, this is literally just using scraps from my stash, apart from these ones here, which were the ones that I brought at the Big Flock Festival. And those are minis from Blue Fern Yarns. Yeah, this is really sweet. I tell you what, though. This is a really cool project, and I like adding the squares kind of here, there and everywhere as I go. What I don't like is the anxiety about making sure you get the colours in the right place and obsessing about whether that colour goes with that one and whether that one's more far apart from the one that it's like over there. And I spend so much time like deliberating where I'm going to put my yarns. It's silly. I should just literally pick one up and put it somewhere and just stop thinking about it. But my brain doesn't work like that. This is I've got like a little stash of yarns that I've pulled out of stash. And these are all ones that I am working into this blanket. So So yeah, that's fun, and that's plenty of work to do there. But yeah, I'm pleased with how this is going. I just need to obsess a little less about where I'm putting which colour. And then I think I'd find it even more fun. And then my final whip is I can't even remember what it's called. It's a Tin Can Knits pattern. Let's look at my notes that I haven't looked at until now. It is my Windswept Cardigan. That's what it was called. So if you remember or watched my last episode, you will remember that I said about this, or might remember that I said about this, that this has been a pattern that's been in my Ravelry queue for, was it 2015 I think I said I first queued this pattern, and I've owned it for basically that long as well. And yeah, failed to cast it on until now. And I cast it on when I was on holiday. Was it when we went on holiday? If you watched last episode, please tell me. I think it was when we went on holiday. And I was following the chart for, it's got like a bit of lace that comes around the neckline and then down into a V. It is a jumper pattern, windswept jumper or sweater, but I'm making it into a cardigan. So my plan is to continue into the V joins, but then instead of joining at the V, just continue and then add buttonholes and then buttons obviously after. But anyway, I was doing the lace for this bit that comes around the neckline before then picking up for the shoulders, etc. And I was following the lace from a PDF pattern on my phone, and I just was not having an awful lot of fun doing that. I always follow patterns from my phone. I never print anything off anymore. Quite frankly, I find having loads of bits of paper draped around the place while I'm sat knitting a pain. So it does not bother me in the slightest following a pattern from my phone. But I just was not enjoying the lace chart on my phone. It's in two parts because one side mirrors the other. Can I show you this? It's quite difficult. I've split it for the sleeves now, but it's still on quite a small needle, so it's probably quite difficult to show, but I will try. So yeah, you can see the lace is there. It's also really in need of a block. It would look much better once it's blocked. But yeah, the lace from one side to the other is a mirror, so the chart is a mirror of one side basically. And it's 20 odd rows. I can't remember exactly now. It's quite a long pattern repeat, and I'm not finding it particularly intuitive, so I'm not finding I'm memorising it, which then means I'm looking at the pattern every single time. And then because it's one side, so left side and then right side, or vice versa. It's right side then left side, isn't it? You then have to go from one chart to the other chart, and it's all just a bit faffy and I wasn't enjoying it. And quite honestly, if I'd recorded this a week ago, I probably would be saying to you, I'm not going to bother doing this because I can't be bothered to follow the chart and I'm not really enjoying this knit. But actually I have turned it around, and as you can see, this last week I've managed to do the whole of the yoke. I've split the sleeves out and I'm now just doing the V up until it is the point where there's no more increases on the front, because I'm still increasing on the front at the moment to make the V. But yeah, so I have all of a sudden cracked on with this, and the only reason I have continued with this is because I found an alternative way to deal with this chart basically. And going back to me mentioning of OPAF, open pattern format, that's how I've cracked making this a successful knit for me. If you haven't heard about it already, open pattern format is a file format and app that myself and my husband have created to display truly digital knitting patterns. This is a project we've been working on for a couple of years, although this last kind of 6 to 8 months we've been pretty slack on doing much with it, just because things are slow. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot of interest in it, although I think it's, I know I'm biased, but I think it's by far the best knitting app, and knitting on like kind of digital knitting solution to patterns that I have seen. It is far better than, yeah, I'm not going to name names, but it's far better than anything that I've seen out there. But generating interest for it has been tough, so we have put it on the back burner recently, and that's mainly because we've just both had other things that we've wanted to concentrate on. For me, for a while, my crafting has not been the focus of my life recently, which is kind of a first in a long time. But yeah, we've both recently picked it up a bit more again, and the reason that I mention it is because to make this manageable, what I have done is I have charted the chart for this into an OPAF file, and I can follow the chart using the app rather than following it on the PDF pattern. And honestly, it has completely changed the way I feel about this project. I would not have continued with this, I'm almost certain of it, if it wasn't for the fact that I could have done that. With the OPAF charting, it's all really smart, so it brings it up line by line, it highlights the line that you are on. If you're not sure of what a chart symbol is, you can click on it. You can zoom in and out to make it fit your screen how you want it to. Honestly, it's just made it so much easier to follow than I was finding by just looking at the PDF. I know I've said that several times now, but I'm not lying, it was really, really good. I'll put on the screen just a little screenshot of me using it, not with their chart obviously, because I don't have the rights to do that. I'm not going to show their chart from a paid pattern for anyone to copy. I would do it from one of my patterns. But yeah, it's really cool. So if you haven't seen OPAF so far, then do check it out. And also with that, I've got renewed motivation to get the last of my patterns into OPAF format. I think the next one I will work on is the ruffle or knot top. The ruffle or knot top pattern is one that I love and I put an awful lot of work into. But I did have a bit of a confidence crisis with it, and when I released it I kind of did it a little bit under the radar and didn't really shout about it an awful lot, and didn't really put my all into the release, so it kind of went a little bit under the radar. And having said that though, it does get a steady trickle of sales every now and then, so I need to give it like the attention it deserves really. So I think it's also a pattern because there's a bit of a complex construction to it. I think it's something that would work really nice in OPAF, and I can show information in a way that makes sense using the OPAF format. So it makes sense to make it my next pattern to do. I think after that, then I've only got a couple more to do, and they're smaller patterns. So yeah, hopefully there will be some more OPAF patterns coming soon as well. If you're a designer, or you know a designer, or you'd like to see some more designs on OPAF than just mine, we would love that too. So please go on to designers and say, hey, have you heard of this new format that creates interactive knitting patterns and is really cool? Why don't you reach out to them, because they'd love to work with you, because we really would. We did work a little while ago with quite a big designer, a really big designer actually. We converted one of her patterns into OPAF format. However, at the time, I don't think she really had the time to deal with us and to review the pattern. And now it's been months and we haven't heard back from her. So that was a real shame, because that could have been really good. But never mind, we can but try, and hopefully we will gain someone's interest sometime and break through. But we're still biding our time on that. But there we go. The only thing I think I've got left to talk about, apart from non-knitting related things, is the Lanelands Shawl. Everything's on top of this, so I'm not sure I can put it out very easy. Oh no, I'm sat on it. There we go. So I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that I had a pattern release a few months ago, and it was this. It was the Lanelands Shawl. This shawl is knit from end to end in 2 colours. So you start, is it this end or the other end? You start the other end, of course it is. Using an intarsia technique to create this wonderful lace, which grows and then opens out, and you have this 2-colour garter stitch panel that sits on the inside. And then this is the larger side, so it is a bit enormous. There is 2 sizes to the pattern. Opens out and then peters back in that side. And yeah, I've talked about this pattern numerous times on the podcast. As all my patterns tend to be, they're a bit of a labour of love. I really go full force into these things and put an awful lot of effort into them. So I always speak about them, about being an awful lot of work, but they are, because I love them and I want them to be right, and I want to put out the best possible patterns that I can. So this pattern came out a few months ago. I'm really pleased with the response it got. Thank you very much if you have purchased the pattern. If you haven't done it and you would like to do so, then I'd love to give you guys on YouTube a discount. I did write down what I was going to make the discount code, and I can't remember what that was. YouTube 25. YouTube 25 for 25% off the pattern, and I will run that indefinitely. That will work on my Payhip store, which is linked through my website, or on Ravelry. And yeah, I hope you like it. I really love it. And that is the Lanelands Shawl. I can't believe it's done and dusted, really. I've spoke about it for so long, like I've just said, that it feels bizarre saying that it's done and I'm moving on. It's kind of become a bit of the furniture, really, hasn't it? But yeah, knitty business done and dusted. I do apologise that I'm a little bit frantic. I think I'm just so keen to get this done and dusted that I've ended up going whoosh really fast. But anyway, other things I've been up to. You would have seen in the opening B-roll video that I've done that I have been baking recently. And I've also mentioned that I've lost a little bit of weight recently. So at the start of, well no, before the summer holidays, I think it was kind of around Whitsun week time, I decided that I wanted to lose some weight and I wanted to be healthier. So I joined our local swimming pool. I now swim, well not now because it's summer holidays, but when the kids are at school, I swim 2 to 3 times a week. I love swimming and it just really relaxes me. I like having that time to think. I like how many calories it burns, how good it is for my body. So yes, I've taken up swimming, and I've generally just been thinking a little bit more about what I eat and being a bit kinder to my body, because I'm now nearly 36, don't feel any younger, and yeah, want to start looking after myself a little bit more. My babies aren't tiny anymore. They're both in school, which means I've got no excuse. It's not that I'm running around too busy after toddlers. I don't have any time to myself. I work mornings. I have an hour and a half or so before they then come home from school. Yes, I am busy, but I have time to fit in time for myself as well. And that doesn't just have to be crafting. And maybe that's again why my crafting has taken a more simple turn recently, because I'm trying to fit in more things for me other than just crafting. So yeah, I've started to lose a little bit of weight, do some swimming, but with that I've also wanted to just generally make healthier choices. So when I go swimming after work, I don't come home first. I finish work at 1:30. I run to my car, stuff a sandwich in my face, and then drive off to the swimming pool to get my swimming. Usually those sandwiches have been just plain white bread that the kids eat, nothing really particularly nutritional about it. And I've wanted to change that, and therefore I have started making sourdough. I'm not sure I'm that good at it yet, but I am getting there. I have now produced a couple of loaves that are at least edible. The first couple very much weren't. And yeah, that takes up awful lot of time actually. I say that, it doesn't. If you know anything about sourdough, it's quite a long process where you do different steps at different times, but those individual steps don't actually take that long. You just need to have enough time to do the steps at the times that they are required to do, because otherwise the dough overproves or underproves, or yeah, I don't really know all of the terminology about it, but yeah, it doesn't work if you don't do it when you're meant to, basically. So yeah, that's been a big learning curve. I can now keep a starter alive. A starter is the yeasty thing that goes in your bread instead of normal yeast. I can knead bread. I can do stretches and folds. I'm not always so great at baking it, but mainly because you put it in really hot to start with a lid on. And then I always forget to turn the oven down when the lid comes off. So I burn it a bit. So yeah, I've got to get better at that. But it's a work in progress. I would never really call it, I can bake a cake, but I'm not a big baker. So this is quite a big thing for me to say that I can bake bread now. So yeah, there's that. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention briefly that I have been working on and vlogging about has been the restoration or upcycling, whatever you want to call it, of a vintage Singer sewing machine and treadle cabinet. I got this cabinet, I inherited it from my dad when he passed away a few years ago, and it sat in our spare room upstairs since then, waiting for me to do something with it. And as I've been off for summer with the kids, I thought this is probably a good time to get it down and start giving it some love. So I've been doing that. Like I say, there's going to be a full video, probably 2 videos on me doing that. So I'm not going to go into great detail now. But yeah, the thing is 1912, I think it was manufactured, and it's not been given a huge amount of love since then, although it's also not the worst I've seen condition. So yeah, that's been fun. It might take a while to do, mainly because I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing about most things, do I really? But I'm winging it as I go and having fun anyway. So there's that to be looking forward to. I really hope to get, I don't know if the machine works. I should have tried the machine before I started taking it all apart. But I would really like to get the machine working, and I would like it to sit up in my bedroom and be an alternative machine that actually works. So I'm going to have to learn how to take a vintage sewing machine apart and clean and service. YouTube teaches you everything, right? But yeah, I haven't got onto the machine yet. I've mainly just taken the cabinet and the treadle stuff apart first. I've got a load of metalwork in white vinegar cleaning as we speak, which I'm going to go out, probably change out of my nice new top first, but I'm going to go out in a minute and start scrubbing all the rust off of. It's a very dirty job. Yeah, that is my other project, and that's another thing that's been taking up more time than my crafting has. But it's all good. As you can see, I've had enough to share anyway. This isn't exactly a short episode. Once again, I'm apologising that it's a bit rambly. It's just who I am, isn't it? I can't not ramble. But anyway, I think I'm coming to a natural end, so I am going to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe if you don't already. And I will catch you next time for another chat. Bye-bye.